Hello, Pauper fans. It's Mathonical. Join me for a round with Oops All Instants. Our opening hand, while a bit slow, looks pretty solid. Let's just hope we're not going against anything fast. And that's probably something fast. That looks like Hexproof, so we're just going to have to hope they don't drop a creature here. Abundant Growth. Alright. It looks like we may be in luck, because now we're going to be able to have Condescend open, and since they're missing land drops, there's a good chance it'll be useful. So we're going to go ahead and Condescend their first creature, and let's see what's on top. Pestermite we don't want, Spellstutter we do, so we'll draw the Spellstutter here, and Pestermite's on the bottom. Alright, so things are looking pretty good. Since they didn't do anything, we're going to accumulate knowledge. Counterspell is perfect. Alright, they're going to play a Ledgewalker. Thankfully we can counter that. We're going to go with the Condescend. I think we do want both of these. I think there might be an argument where we don't want the accumulated knowledge, but since we already have one in the graveyard, it's going to draw 2 cards, and we're going to go ahead and give it a try. Of course, we're going to draw the land next turn because that'll allow us to do more. Here, our opponent is playing a Ledgewalker. We're once again going to counter that, and then we're going to think twice, draw that accumulated knowledge. Hopefully we draw a land. Alright, we did, that's good. And since we don't really have counter magic for if they play another Ledgewalker, I'm going to go ahead and play the Augur of Bolas, digging for Counterspell. And unfortunately we didn't get there. We're going to go ahead and take this think twice, and not be the happiest about it, but I guess that's fine. And they have a third one. Of course, it's going to resolve. We don't have another counterspell for it. Ethereal Armor we are going to counter. We don't want them to be able to really get their creature going. We have to be able to trade with it at some point, or at least threaten to. Here, we could either hold up all of our mana and like Repulse and maybe do some card drawing, but that doesn't seem great. I'd rather just Augur of Bolas to try and fight some counter magic. Well, Force Spike is counter magic, so we're going to take it, but much less good when our opponent knows it's coming. Alright, so they're going to play some Rancors. I'm not going to bother... Well, I don't really have any options to do here, and I'm glad it's Rancor instead of something more scary, because we can still block it and trade. We don't mind losing a bit of life. Here we're going to go ahead and cast the Repulse on the Augur of Bolas. This will give us more looks at cards. Essentially, it draws us a card off of this, and then we can replay it digging for a counterspell. Spellstutter is very nice. It's going to allow us to counter most things. And another Repulse. Alright. We're once again going to play the Augur. And an Exclude. Okay, well, that could help us answer future creatures. Alright, let's see what our opponent's going to do. Alright, Armored Cloak. Well, if we look at our options, we don't really have much going on, so that's going to resolve, and we're going to start taking some beats here. We're going to have to start drawing some cards. We've got to find something useful, so we're going to accumulate knowledge. Still nothing. Alright. Pestermite, that'll work. What we can do is essentially go for that double block and hope it's good enough. We're going to attack with both of these. We could have attacked with the Spellstutter as well and play the Pestermite looking to untap the Spellstutter, but instead I think it's going to be better to untap a land just to keep our options open more. Does mean we are discarding quite a bit here, but think twice when we're in Repulse. It's fine. So what are we doing here? Helight's Pilgrim, alright. We're not going to do anything about that. I'd rather keep our mana open. Like if we wanted to exclude it, we would need to Pestermite, untap a land, and exclude, but then our opponent wouldn't attack with a Ledgewalker. I'd rather get the surprise factor. So our opponent searches out an Ancestral Mask. That can be scary, but I think it's okay. They're going for the attack, and this is exactly what we wanted. We're going to be able to cast the Pestermite, untap a land, go for the double block. They are going to get a bunch of Rancors, but at least we've got chances. We've got ground blockers at the moment. They decided not to do anything here, so now we've got the option of Think Twice's, Accumulated Knowledge, and Repulsing our creature. Repulse might be more useful on their creatures to deal with their stuff later on, so... And Accumulated Knowledge might overdraw us. Most mana efficient thing to do as well is to think twice, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Counterspell, perfect. Alright, play the land, and now we start the draw go. We're going to let them play that, mainly because we want to start countering these Rancors, so that way it doesn't get, well, you know, trample all the time. So once they cast this, we're going to go ahead and Spellstutter it. We can always just chump block this Helix program if we want to. They're going to go for another Rancor. Here, I'm going to go ahead and repulse it. They've got 1 mana left open, which we can use the Force Spike on. And, alright, I think we're starting to weather the tide here. We could try and draw some cards right away, but it's probably best if we don't. We're just going to go for the attack, keep back the Augur of Bolas. So they're going to go for the Heliod's Pilgrim again, of course. So we've got Excludes for this. And a Glade Cover Scout. We're also going to counter this one. And our opponent decides to concede there. So we don't know what the last card is, but they have decided it is not good enough. That's fine by us. Definitely got a little lucky there, being able to be just fast enough due to their stalled land drops. Here, we're going to take a quick look at the sideboard. I actually don't have the screenshot yet. I'll have that for the next round. So we definitely don't want these repulses, so we're going to take out all 4, and in their place, we're going to bring in the 2 Annuls, the 1 Curfew, as well as the Boomerang. Boomerang does a similar thing to Repulse, except it can target their enchantments to shrink their creature in combat, allowing us better chances of trading with their stuff. And everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Curfew, we're just hoping to kind of nab one of their creatures, and the Nulls are just great counterspells. Alright, so this opening hand is a 1-lander with 4 amazing spells, so we're going to go ahead and keep this one. Are they going to have the turn 1 creature? Yes, they are. Alright, so it might be a bit difficult, but hopefully this will get us there. In comes the Scout, that I don't mind, and no, nothing else. Of course, we're also not drawing our lands. They're playing a Rancor, I don't want them doing that. And just another creature, that's fine. Ancestral Mask, also no. Thankfully they're fully tapped out there. We can use one of our 4 spikes. And there's our second land. Alright, so we now need to start trying to trade off our spell starters with their creatures at some point. Cartouche we don't want. We don't want their creatures getting bigger, so 4 spike is another opportunity there. The Utopia Sprawl, I don't want them having white mana. Chances are they're stuck on some creatures like that. So we use the Spellstutter, and thankfully they attack in so we can trade. We're going to take a little bit of damage here, and that's fine. We're also going to flash back the thing twice. We're going to play an Augur of Bolas since we didn't have much in the way of counter magic. Like, we had a bit of counter magic, but I really want to dig us down. So, essentially we're just playing draw go at this point. Drawing cards at the end of their turn whenever possible. We're going to play a Pestermite. We do want to start getting some damage in. And at this point, it's like guaranteed that they have a hand stuck with lots of white cards. Abundant Growth is something we absolutely want to counter. We want to keep them off of their white mana. And unfortunately, they ended up saving up for 2 things at the same time. So they are going to get some stuff down here. Ethereal Armor. Going to get in some damage. Yep. Like, a consideration is to try and get rid of their Utopia Sprawl, but at this point, it's not really worth it. Instead, it's going to be much more important to try and kill this Glade Cover Scout. So here, when they go for an additional Ethereal Armor, I'm going to go ahead and use an Annul, hoping to use the Boomerang to kill their creature. So they go for the attack, we're going to go for the block, make the Boomerang play, and they concede there. That was likely the last creature they had going on, and if so, we had excellent follow-up. So, we managed to sneak out a win against Hexproof. Definitely a little hairy in a couple spots, but we got there. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in match 2.